So good morning everyone and welcome to this morning's session here at HACT for a relaunch of our Launchpad platform. My name is Michael McLaughlin, I'm the digital lead here at HACT and I'm very pleased to welcome Ben Garrett, the Regional Director from Vericon Systems, along to join us today. So today, HACT is an innovation agency who, as a charity, working directly within social housing, work to bring solutions to many challenges that social housing organisations face in an evolving regulatory and often tech-focused context. So we've been doing similar in terms of providing those solutions to challenges for over 60 years now. In the days before the housing regulator and the NatFed, we provided a level of guidance. We supported through grant funding to developing housing associations and even supported the creation of the charity Shelter. So fast forward 61 years to today, and many of the challenges around funding, around homelessness and around need for local and national partnership work can remain. However, the solutions now lie in increased efficiencies, new ways of working created by availability and access of technology within the sector. So as part of that, we are really keen to relaunch our Launchpad platform and bring that to you today and over the forthcoming weeks and months. So Launchpad has been a platform that HACT have used in the past to promote tech solutions and innovative ways of working that we know have synergy with social housing organisations and where they're not already embedded in any of that practice, just to bring that to the fore. So we work with startup companies, we work with more established companies where we see it would add value. So really, you know, there's loads that we work with in the housing sector. So today we're known quite heavily for our work in the social value space and in research, our research function. And we're really keen to bring together the tech solutions with all the work that we're doing across the sector. So you know, we have sector-wide initiatives like the Social Value Bank, the Social Value Task Force, and as hopefully several of you will know, the data standards, the UK housing data standards, along with our partner Oscar. So as part of the kind of comprehensive work that we do, we're really keen to be bringing, you know, new and innovative ways of working to you, and that's really what we aim to do through Launchpad, which I'll talk you through briefly, and then I'll introduce Ben and he can talk specifically about one of those solutions that we're looking at today. So as part of the work that we do across the digital team, we do a lot of work around, I suppose this year more than most, around the kind of digital transformation and data enablement that enables people to work remotely, you know, kind of solutions that support that, increased resident engagement. And we know through the HACT review the kind of importance placed on customer voice, and we're aware that the past year where there's not been face-to-face contact, we've had to rely on often digital solutions, and that's something that we are keen to promote. The other area in which the HACT review and the subsequent social housing white paper spoken about around asset maintenance and having a better data governance around that. So having a digital library of your assets and being able to manage them remotely and securely. So obviously the IoT, the Internet of Things, so you know, looking at smart technology, how that enables us to better manipulate and manage some of these assets, as well as having a better library of them to access. So you know, thinking about that, but even around kind of new data that's coming into the sector, particularly around the net zero carbon agenda, and the tenant satisfaction measures that we're aware are coming into regulation. They'll require either new or upgraded technology solutions just to fully meet some of the new responsibilities or challenges in those areas. So we're really keen to look to engage with, you know, the people we work with in the data space. So data standards work around providing standardised specifications of data to ensure systems integrate better, and you know, the comparisons and benchmarking across the sector. You know, and I'm sure many of you know, as I've said, the work we do in data standards, and we do have a kind of forthcoming webinar towards the end of next week, which will send some information out, and we'll be a link in the chat about that as well. So Keen to do that. So we're very, as aware we are of the kind of future scoping and understanding of the challenges, not the sector just meet just now, but are forthcoming. We're very, very outcome focused, and that's what Ben's going to talk to you today about, actually a specific solution for specific problems. And I think that's where we're aware that social housing organisations often use tech in a very kind of positive way. So we also appreciate we don't always have the answer, but we're very keen as a sector to move to work with partners and work with external specialists to have a wider discussion, engagement, and innovative thinking, and that's really what we want to use the Launchpad platform to do. So through that, we'll be providing regular webinars like today. We get to meet partner organisations or expert associates, but we'll also host a series of kind of tech-focused and themed roundtable discussions, and I suppose for me quite interesting stuff about test and learn opportunities where tech solutions can provide some case studies and actually give you guys in the social housing organisations an opportunity to see that at first hand without having to kind of spend the money to test that, but actually see, we work with solutions that we know create value, and it's just about getting that to embed within your organisation. So we'll be relaunching a monthly newsletter over the summer, so we'll get that out to you all as well, and we'll also be embedding that in the content in the new HACT website, which will be going live hopefully the tail end of the summer. So I'd just like to hand you over to Ben at Vericon Systems, who's going to talk you through, as I say, one such tech solution that both meets current challenges in terms of efficiency, environmental savings, that I know he's really excited about, and has real operational values for the social housing sector. So if anyone wants to ask either Ben or I a question, please do put it in the chat and we'll pick it up at the end. Also keen just to have more general thoughts about tech solutions and innovation in social housing, and what it is you would like to see, whether you're a tech vendor and you want to have a platform to talk to us, or to like Ben, show the housing sector what solutions you have, or if you're a social housing organisation, what are these challenges that we're looking for solutions for, or what solutions do you currently engage with and you would like us to support the work you do. So just be keen to get your thoughts on those more generally, and if you do have any specific questions, do stick them in the chat. So over to you, Ben. Thank you.
Okay, bear with me. I'm just going to share my screen. Okay, that doesn't seem to have done what I wanted it to do. There we go. Morning, everybody. My name is Ben Garrett. I'm the Regional Director for South East of England and London. Vericon are an innovative company leading the way in IoT technology for social housing solutions. The topic of today's presentation is to discuss whether technology is the answer to achieving ESG performance. Vericon's ecosystem provides you with a tool that allows you to monitor, manage, and maintain your complete housing stock. ESG is made up of three categories that enable businesses to measure the real, sustainable, and social impact of their processes and activities. ESG has a practical purpose, driving efficiencies as well as directly affecting the value of business, which goes well beyond the green badge. ESG is made up of three components. The first being environmental. How do the processes and activities of the company affect the local and global environmental challenges we are facing? Some examples of these are energy usage, cutting carbon emissions, plastic waste, compliance with government environmental policies. The second stage of ESG is the social aspect. How do the processes and activities affect tenants, employees, suppliers, and communities? Again, some examples are ensuring tenant welfare, ensuring good tenant living conditions, and ensuring that these conditions are fit for human habitation. Tenants fuel poverty, employee working conditions, employee risk management, including health and safety and person-to-person contact. The final part of ESG is the governance. the governance, how management are using relevant information to ensure the company is being managed effectively and efficiently for the benefits of the stakeholders. When business efficiencies are improved, the investment potential is strengthened. These combined feed greater ESG monitoring. Greater ESG monitoring allows for improved business efficiencies and stronger investment potentials. They are all linked into one another. The solution, is technology the solution? Technology isn't the solution, but it is an enabler. So data collected through remote monitoring can be used to inform decision-making to drive business practices. These decisions can be used to create automated remote management. Let's take a look at some of the examples of this in the context of housing providers' environmental. Climate change is made up of different criteria, including the distribution of EPC ratings, emissions data, climate risk mitigation plans, and environmental strategies. Ecology is made up of two criteria around managing pollutants and increasing biodiversity. Resource management, how sustainable a housing provider is in regards to the construction and management of its properties is measured by the way they source materials, waste management, and water management. Social, so affordability and security. Some examples of this are when residents mix their new and existing properties and the scrutiny of residents, security and of residents' fuel and poverty. Building safety and quality, again, is made up of three criteria: disclosing gas safety checks, fire risk assessments, and meeting decent home standards. The resident's voice is made up of three themes. These cover board scrutiny, complaint handling, and resident satisfaction. Resident support is made up of two criteria that cover what support is provided and how successful the support provided is. Placemaking, what activities the housing provider do to create a well-designed homes in places where it's most needed. Governance, structure and governance. This looks at covering the regulator code of governance, risk management and ownership. Board of Trustees is made up of several criteria, some of these including demographics of the board and experience and independence of the board. Staff wellbeing is made up of factors including salary information, additional support, staff and average sick days. Supply chain management is made up of two criteria. These are the assessing of how social value and environmental impacts are considered. So, Vericon and our ecosystem is designed with the need of housing associations and ESG at the forefront. Our ecosystem allows for the secure remote monitoring of management of a portfolio from housing stock from 1 to 100,000 properties. Our collection of products provide a single online solution to monitor and manage your portfolio whilst providing a full audit trail for governance. Our API allows for the integration of existing software to connect and work alongside the Vericon devices. We have our RE system, which is an automated SMS help desk, so your tenants can be notified of any issues or maintenance work automatically. It also allows you to ease the stress of any help desks. Let's have a look at some of the ways we can help you with ESG using our devices. Our main device is our BCM, and the BCM is a small device that wires into the bus system of any boilers. It monitors the boiler's performance in real time using real-time information. Using manufacturer's fault codes, it will send you the faults, again, say in real time. This helps to increase your first-time fix rates, so you're going out to the property knowing what the problem is, rather than sending somebody out to diagnose the issue and then have to send them back. This helps to reduce person-to-person contact. It helps to improve the experience from the tenants. It also helps you to monitor the wear and tear of the boilers, reduce running costs, and helps improve your carbon footprint by reducing the amount of visits. It also has built-in access aids. These are, the first one works a little bit like the low battery of a smoke alarm, and it will beep at intervals when the service is required. The other option is it can turn down the domestic heating to 10 degrees. Now, from a tenant's point of view, they don't know this. They just think their boiler's not getting to temperature. So they call you to go and resolve the issue. You can go out, you can complete your service, and then from a click of a button, turn the boiler back up. Tenant's happy. You've managed to get your service, which all helps towards achieving your 100% compliance. The ability to monitor a boiler's health and even fix a fault remotely saves both time and money, while also delivering a far better service from the customer. Our most popular ancillary that goes alongside with the BCM is our autofill. And the autofill works by automatically topping up the system when the pressure drops. Now, it will never add to an issue. And the way it works is if the pressure drops below 0.8 of a bar, in 3-second bursts, this will start topping the system up to 1.5 bar. It knows the difference as well. So if you have a catastrophic leak, the autofill will shut the boiler off or shut the heating system down and alert you that there's a fault and somebody needs to go out and resolve the issue. If it tops the system up more than once in a week, you'll get a notification say there could be an issue. Could somebody please come out? If it tops it up more than 3 times in a month, again, you'll get a notification to say, please come and have a look at the boiler, there's something wrong. Every time it tops the system up, it will be logged on our portal, but you won't necessarily get the notification. So it only sends you a notification as and when it's needed. And through machine learning, we've also managed to learn that the difference, between a general leak and, say, an expansion vessel fault. So it will now alert you if an expansion vessel has gone, you'll get a notification to say expansion vessel either needs replacing or recharging. All of our ancillaries work on a secure Zigbee mesh network. So only our products work on our Zigbee network. 78% of boiler faults registered in October 2020 were due to low pressure. So as you can see, just from that, having the autofill in the BCM can reduce your emergency call-outs quite considerably, again, aiding towards helping you achieve a reduction in carbon footprint. Our MultiDot is a small device that monitors for damp and humidity. And the way this works is the parameters, if you've got 60% humidity in your property, mold starts to grow. If you get up to 70%, then mold starts to grow rapidly. So you'll get a notification for either of these. If on the other side of the coin, if it drops below 40%, you can get skin irritations. And if it drops below 30%, dust might start to reproduce, and it can affect respiratory systems. So the beauty of the MultiDot is it can be located in individual rooms. So you can have multiple MultiDots to a property. They'll send you a notification if there's an issue. It also helps you to educate the tenants. So if, say, at 3 o'clock every Saturday afternoon, you get a notification to say there's damp, it would generally be because the tenant is doing their washing and drying clothes in a room without opening the windows. So it allows you to educate tenants to live better and more healthily for themselves. As well as this, the beauty of the MultiDot is once you've resolved the issue in a particular property, you can disconnect it from a BCM and you can reconnect it to another one. So you can use multiple of them across your estates. This all helps, obviously, fight the fit for human habitation claims. Our EmeRed is a small retrofittable device to your emergency lighting and allows you to remain compliant at all times. So it will fit to your existing lighting and it will remotely carry out your 3-hour drain down tests. Once it's completed the 3-hour drain down test, it will then schedule in a monthly flick test thereafter on the same day each month, eliminating the need to send engineers to site. But also, because its ability to test individual lights, if you've got, say, a corridor with 6 lights in it or a stairway with 6 lights, you can test every other light, meaning that corridor can remain open and stay compliant. And then obviously after the batteries are fully recharged, so 3 days later, you can then charge the other lights as well. So we've got an example here. So Client A Housing Association in phase 1, 44 buildings with an average of 10.5 emergency lights per building. The manual test costs cover 5 years. So the flick test is £79,200, 60-minute duration, 4,961, and the 3-hour drain down test is £7,329. So the total over 5 years is £91,489. With the EmeRed, over the same period of time, the cost of the gateways for the site will cost you £6,556. The cost of the EmeReds will be £42,265. So the total cost of the EmeRed is £49,265.70. This will give you a saving over 5 years of £42,224.05, giving you a return on investment of 1.5 years. That is Vericon's ecosystem and our answer, if you like, to helping you achieve or get closer to your ESG goals. Thank you for listening. If anybody's got any questions, please feel free to ask.
Excellent, Ben. Thank you very much. As I say, the chat's open, as is a question and answer, and I'll come to certainly one of those questions in a second, but I'd just be keen to share just some of my thoughts on that, Ben. So yesterday, HACT's Managing Director, Jackie, and myself were presenting at Digital Leaders Week. We were discussing challenges social housing organisations have in becoming data-led organisations. So we see there's kind of 4 main pillars that are involved in that. So, both challenges and opportunities, but how they do that. So, you've got people, processes, performance, and platforms. So people is around the culture, the language used, people taking responsibility, and very much organisations who employ IoT that, at times they've overcome some of that cultural stuff. So they understand that new ways of working can bring benefits. Using the correct language around the data and who's responsible for that. So who manages it, who maintains the accuracy and assurance of that. So and I think that's obviously key in your IoT solution. It flows into the cloud, and it's a kind of secure cloud-based solution that you guys can manage. So performance in terms of the metrics and what specifications, definitions are used. So we think that's key in the work we do around data standards, which I'll touch on in a second. And for me, the kind of process part of that is being aware of where and when you collect data. So for you, thinking about boiler top-ups and faults, and actually how does that flow into your overall system, and how do you get insights from that? So following some of the use cases and the data standards, which as I said, are free to download, and I'll go into slightly more detail. So I think that's key in the kind of data journey, that the increased data and insights that you get out of IoT solutions like this. So for me, the key bit of this is platforms. So it's where kind of tech, software, and innovation play a key part. And this is a great example of that. So what platforms you use, process, and get better data from, it increases the level of data governance that you need, but also employing methods like data standards allow us to have better and more efficient use and migration and integration of data across both legacy and new systems. So, and I know we've spoken about the past about that, and about actually being more aware of what data is flowing in and out of the ecosystem. And I know it's something you guys are on top of and are keen to implement the kind of standards that we use. So it was more just to get your thoughts on, where we want to support the sector's ability to become more data-led. How would you say, in terms of kind of decision-making and strategic thinking, how would Vericon help that through using your product?
So we allow people to, we're in the throes of working, so you can tailor reports to however you want, or whichever reports suit your organization. So if you're using the portal and you need to run reports, it gives you a better ability to sort of monitor your housing stock. So let's say, for argument's sake, rather than do a boiler replacement program for an entire estate, you can run reports to see which boilers are closer to the end of their lives than others, meaning you can better plan, or more efficiently plan your boiler replacement program, rather than just roll out a blanket program, because you might end up being able to get more years out of a certain boiler than maybe other boilers.
Excellent, excellent. So just picking up a couple of questions. So where else do you see Vericon ecosystem being best employed across a social housing organisation, and where do you see the kind of future direction of your solutions?
So we're open. So what we tend to do is, if we are talking to a housing association and they need or would like another product and we can see that it would work and benefit, we're open to suggestions. So just the other day, we've had suggestions of bringing out products to help with Legionella testing. Obviously, there's a benefit to everybody in this. So we've now are working on what we will be calling the Legionella Dot. So we'll do the Legionella testing for you remotely. Similar to your EmeReds, where you won't have to send anybody to site. It will run the test for you and then report into the ecosystem or into our portal what the issues were and if it's passed. So we are completely open and growing to any suggestions that anybody has got. And we want to grow with the housing associations. You know, we want to help them run more efficiently. We want them to help reduce their carbon footprints and improve your tenant satisfaction. And that's what it's all about at the end of the day is, you know, the less complaints you guys are getting from your tenants, the better you're performing, which I suppose it all equals at the end, more funding from investors.
Excellent, thank you very much. The kind of last in very operational. So how would you begin the process of working with a social housing organisation?
So we'll generally start with a presentation on all of the products. And then once we've done that, we will do a run through of the portal, because the portals are very easy. And the portal is probably the biggest selling point, because you can literally monitor and manage everything from the portal. So one of the biggest things we found while doing this is a lot of housing associations, although they'll have an asset list for all their boilers, a lot of them don't have asset lists for their emergency lighting. So by going down the EmeRed route, this actually gives you a full asset list of your emergency lighting. So you know exactly where your lights are, how many you've got and how they're performing, rather than relying on third-party data from contractors or engineers doing the testing.
Excellent. So there's a few questions in the chat. So the first one, it's Jeanette from Bromford Housing asking if it'd be possible to have a copy of the slides after the meeting. So I'm certainly happy to share any information we've discussed, and I know, Ben, you're quite keen to get that across. So we'll send that across to all of you, and if there's any specifics you want to pick up from that, please do get in touch with either Ben or myself. Our contact details will be on that. So the two other questions on this, Ben. So one of them is, what asset management systems, if any, have you successfully plugged these systems into, or do your customers need to consume the data from your portal?
So we can API into anybody's system. If they're using a Microsoft-based platform, it's quite easy because we use a Microsoft-based platform. Anything else is all on an individual basis, and we will arrange for our technical guys to talk to the housing association technical guys and make sure that it works. Obviously, all takes a little bit of time, but it is something we can do. We haven't found a system yet that we can't integrate with, and we can literally integrate it to as much or as little as you guys require.
Excellent. And I suppose that's organisations implementing data standards around, particularly, and if we have time, we'll kind of chat through some of that stuff around the development handover standard that we've got. If we're all using the same specifications and the same definitions, it allows for that to be done even easier. So it's worth bearing that in mind, that the tech solutions that we work with are all supporters of the data standards. So other question here for you, Ben, is what do you think the biggest risk of not implementing tech services to social housing from Vericon?
Biggest risk of not putting it in? Well, that's a good question. I suppose just getting left behind. I mean, once other organisations start to do it, and the cost savings that can be achieved once it's all in, I say we've all got to reduce our carbon footprint. We've all got to make sure that the tenants are happy where they're living. So by not implementing it, I suppose the biggest problem is your carbon footprint won't get reduced as much, and your tenants will be unhappy, and nobody wants that unhappy tenant, because that means they complain and we all end up with headaches. So the system is designed to make the housing association's life as easy as possible and help them run as efficiently as possible.
Excellent. Excellent. So I had touched on a couple of times the data standards work that we do. So just to call that out a bit further. So it's when we talk about our digital work stream, we work with tech solutions, but we also work on the basis that kind of IT or ICT, the kind of tech solutions is very much one part of that, but you have to have that information right. So using IoT obviously gives a bit of a step up for that, because you're collecting the correct data. But for us as a sector, we're aware, and I'll briefly describe the reason we know that there's some challenges around that information. So you need to have that information right to know what technology to be employing. Back in 2016, we worked with Microsoft around the time that they were creating their Azure platform around how big data sets could be used in social housing. So they looked to pull and asked for ourselves to work with social housing organisations like the ones that are on the call today, to pull the full data sets, both unstructured and structured data, to see what insights could they get out of that. And actually what they found was they couldn't really get any insights at all, because the data quality and consistency was so poor. So over the past 4 or 5 years, we've worked with the sector to ensure that the kind of key areas that the sector weren't getting right or weren't getting consistent, that we are supporting the increase in quality and assurance of that data, so that it can be used for better data governance, better frameworks, and ultimately better platforms and tech provisions like Vericon. And when that flows into their system, then you're almost using like for like terminology and performance metrics. And I think that's key. And one of the things that we are going to be doing over the next year is working on a data standard around environmental data. We're aware that organisations, it's still, as Ben spoke of, these are still fairly new concept to social housing. Other industries are a bit more integrated in this, and we're massively keen to get give the social housing organisations the same opportunity, and particularly when talking about ESG ratings. So we're aware that when organisations are lending for new build developments, they're asking for ESG rating, and using products like Vericon and IoT solutions help that along the way. But also us being aware of what data is we collect, what suite of data we want to potentially collect in the future, and building kind of standard specifications and just a better understanding across the sector of the potential and the kind of processes that's going to bring. So it's something that I'll again contact everyone about, and we'll, it's quite prominent in the work that we do. We do have a webinar, and we'll put the details in the chat of that for the 24th of June around kind of environmental and sustainability data, and the importance that has for the kind of future and sustainability of housing associations. And I would really urge people both to employ the right tech solutions, but also underpin that with the right data governance and the right understanding to make your organisation a data-led organisation.